The building was on fire, and it wasn't my fault. Harry Dresden. Frequently. According to statistics, the number of people who disappear from cities are about as frequent as that of animals being hunted for food, such as the case with lions preying on deer or snakes eating birds. It makes you wonder then what's really going on in the wide world. Is everything we see what they really are? Or is there something more to them? Something sinister? These are just some of the questions asked by the Dresden Files series of novels by Jim Butcher. Hi, hello, and welcome again everyone to another episode of Natural Juan. This time around we'll be discussing the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, a series of urban fantasy novels taking place in the city of Chicago, Illinois. Before all that though, I'd like to invite you all to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Also, don't forget to hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any new videos that I might produce. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump right in and get started. Dresden Files is a series of novels with upwards of 17 novels in all, with accompanying short stories, novellas, and comics, all created by Jim Butcher. It details the story of a wizard named Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden who operates in the city of Chicago in Illinois. The series is noted for its fantastic world building, partly thanks to the author's researching skills, exciting action scenes that feel like they were taken from a comic or anime, and a whole lot of very interesting characters. Jim Butcher himself has stated he has 20 books planned all in all, but he might change things if things don't work out. For instance, his recent novels Peace Talks and Battleground are actually two parts of one larger novel, and he also has plans for a young adult series that is a spin-off of the original series. Dresden Files had a short-lived TV series to its name too, but it was only loosely connected to the book series and was cancelled. More importantly, there is also a tabletop RPG made for the setting with the characters commenting on it, but that will be a discussion for another day and another episode. As mentioned, the book centers on a wizard named Harry Dresden, who also works as a private investigator in Chicago. I don't want to give out a lot of spoilers for this series as this is definitely one of my favorites, but it starts off grounded in the mundane. Harry Dresden occasionally does jobs for the Chicago Police Department and is a well-known acquaintance to police officer Karen Murphy. He helps them solve crimes that often have a supernatural angle to them, and also helps with the occasional mundane crime fighting using his magic. However, the fantasy and excitement soon ramp up as the series goes on, as we learn more and more about the kind of world Harry Dresden operates in. As mentioned, Dresden Files is an urban fantasy setting, a place where the magical and fantastical operates right beside the mundane and the ordinary, often just out of sight. This is the case with Dresden Files, as this is a world where magic, wizards, vampires, werewolves, and other monsters exist. It is actually very similar to the World of Darkness RPG and D20 Modern, with many fans and readers claiming that Jim Butcher actually based a lot of the setting on them. While I do agree that the said RPGs and Dresden Files have a lot in common, I will still say that there is some difference in both the tone of the series and the rules of its RPG, although I don't want to go too deep on the latter. Anyway, another thing the series is known for is its epic action scenes that, like I said, look like they were a novelization of various Shonen Jump manga. Heck, Dresden himself kind of makes me think of an older and grumpier Natsu from Fairy Tail. This is the kind of series where you'll see wizards shooting fireballs at ravenous werewolves, mundane humans doing cool martial arts moves against vampires, and somehow winning, and gods and goddesses slugging it out on the streets with tons of collateral damage. For all you die-hard anime fans out there, you probably know what I'm talking about. Harry Dresden styles himself as a fairly uninteresting character, simply stating that he is both a wizard and a detective who seeks to help people in the city of Chicago. This help includes finding lost children and runaways, helping the local police solve crimes, and sometimes fighting monstrous beings threatening the unwitting people. Harry, as described in the books, is a very tall man and is imposing for both his size and his ability to do magic. He especially has a penchant for using fire magic, as hinted by the quote I mentioned, and fights either with his magic staff, something of a requirement among all wizards it seems, and his trusty shotgun. A man of simple taste, though odd at times, Dresden is perfectly happy reading a book in his apartment or watching a Star Wars film while eating food from the nearest outlet of Burger King and sipping on a Coke. What is odd, however, is that he seems to believe that watching Star Trek, eating from McDonald's, or drinking Pepsi is anathema to him and refuses to take part in them. Then we have his allies. Let's start with Bob the Skull. Bob is a spirit of intellect who resides within a skull. He can best be defined as a spiritual computer who can record information and formulate ideas and solutions with them. I can also say that he is like a computer, since he is also a repository of unsavory data, such as adult activities. Another of Dresden's allies is Mouse, a very large dog with very high intelligence. Mouse also seems to be part angel, as he is easily able to fight off supernatural threats. Another of Dresden's greatest allies is Michael Carpenter, a man who has been tasked by an angel of God to fight against evil. Armed with a holy sword that could very easily dismember the forces of evil with a single strike, no vampire, demon, or monster has ever bested him in combat. That said, whatever power Michael has is very limited against other humans and must fight strictly according to the tenets of honor and righteousness. It has been hinted that should he stray from the oaths he swore as a warrior of God, he would not only lose his power, but the sword he wields might be destroyed, weakening the forces of good. If I may state my own opinion, I'd say that Michael Carpenter might deserve his own spin-off series. Perhaps a short trilogy of how he became a Knight of the Cross. But I digress. There is also Karen Murphy, mentioned above, of the Chicago Police Department, a no-nonsense police officer who has to deal with a lot of criminals in her fair city. And, at least in this version of Chicago, there is definitely a lot to deal with. Karen Murphy is blonde, not very tall, but very athletic, and armed with a vast menagerie of firearms. One might even wonder where she gets some of her weapons, especially the automatic carbines and rifles. But while she is not very good at fighting the supernatural, she is well aware of them and the danger they pose to the world at large. This is why she chooses to keep Dresden around as a consultant, as she knows well that there are some things that won't stay down even after you've emptied the magazine of an assault rifle on them. Then, we have his enemies. One of Dresden's greatest enemies is crime boss John Marcone, a very wealthy man surrounded at all times by burly and powerful bodyguards and cunning lawyers. One can say that he is almost untouchable. That said, unlike most organized crime syndicates, Marcone is aware of the various monsters lurking in the darkness of Chicago. This is why he continues to see Harry Dresden as an ally against supernatural evil, rather than as a full-time enemy. Then there are the vampires. In this setting, they come in multiple courts, which means type or species. There is the Black Court, which is your traditional nightmarish vampire that is essentially a walking corpse. You also have the Red Court, which takes the form of giant red bats with addictive saliva that can disguise themselves as humans using flesh masks. Then there's the White Court, which are mostly human but gain their sustenance from the emotions of human beings. We also have the Fairies, which serves as the occasional ally or enemy for Harry Dresden. They are divided in two major factions, the Summer and Winter. Summer Fae are those bright, wish-granting Fae that give gifts and keep people safe at night. That said, they also have a bad side and are thought to bring disease for the unwary. Winter Fae, on the other hand, are depicted as an evil counterpart of sorts to their cousins. However, Winter Fae take their words very seriously and always honor their promises to mortals. And that's just a few things you'll find in this series of books, and that's it for this intro to the Dresden Files. I certainly hope you liked this presentation, and if you did, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell for notifications. See everybody in the next video.